Certainly, the players were disappointed at today's outcome, but also relieved the traffic hitting season is finally over. Joe Sensor and Fred McNeil summarize the Vikings' year.
I think from an offensive point of view, I think we decided by less than a touchdown. It's going to get right down to the wire, and we've got to win. You can't win 3 or 4. You've got to win 5 or 6 of those 8 games to come out on top. We just weren't able to do it.
We have no intention of risking anyone's safety to save a couple of metal poles. If the fans want the goalposts that badly, we're going to let them have them.
There was about 5 times the normal police protection at the Met, about 1 officer for every 100 fans. The extra security was paid for by the Vikings, who wanted to hold down vandalism and prevent injuries. In the end, some people did get hurt, mostly minor cuts sustained after the game when fans stormed the field. Mary Stuckey, News Center 11 at Met Stadium.
Well, the next professional baseball or football that we see will be indoors at the Hubert H. Humphrey Metrodome in Minneapolis. Work on the dome is proceeding as scheduled. No problems, the only one being the collapse of the roof last month following a snowstorm. That's been repaired, and work on the interior of the dome goes on so the Twins can open their season in April. Today also signaled the end of the tailgate party as we know it. Today's weather seemed an appropriate way to mark the end of these gatherings as the revelers laughed at the cold and were very intent on enjoying themselves as much as possible.
I was at the first game, me and my dad, and the Vikings beat the Bears. George Shaw got thrown out because he couldn't hack it, and Tarkenton came in and threw 5 touchdown passes.
Did you tailgate that very first game?
Nope.
When did you start tailgating?
The second game.
You enterprising people would find some way to do it next year, even though there's a dome.
We shall. We have our.
We're all moving to Green
ways.
Bay.
What's that?
We're all moving to Green Bay. They seem to be the winners. They have the strength. I think I stay with the strength.
Okay. You're going to turn.
Get away now.
You're going to turn in your horns?
No,
turn in your horns?
Been here 72 years. We'll stay.
I'm a Norwegian, and I like this kind of weather. Really?
I want to know how you're going to get silly next year with the dome.
Well, that's a whole different ball game. We'll raise the roof. We'll park here.
Yeah, we'll park here and then walk over.
There is a chance. The dome is beautiful. Something we got to have. But this is the best.
The most unusual group of the day brought their living room with them and set up home in the Cleveland section of the parking lot. Nobody cared that the walls were missing, only that the generator operate properly to provide power for the television set.
Well, I thought tailgating started in Minnesota, and if they're going to take it away from us and put us indoors, make the best of the last game. We don't have tickets. This is the way to go. If you can't watch it in your living room with the atmosphere, come out and tailgate for the last time.
Only in Minnesota can a man lounge around in a lawn chair in the middle of a freezing parking lot and enjoy it. The end of the Met Stadium as a major sports arena means a big change of atmosphere, not just for the players and the fans, but also for the behind-the-scenes people who keep the fans satisfied, even when the game does not. Roberto Chudalushim has the story of Vic Costello, who makes his living as a...
And I hope that his knee is well because I'd like to see him go over there and play in that one.
Nifty play by Galbraith here.
Tony Galbraith is a very tricky runner. He's...
Field all right, and the rest of the team?
I did. I didn't see any of all that action until I saw it on television a little while later.
Well, you're going to see a little bit more of it right now. You know, the Vikings, of course, beefed up their security forces this afternoon, I think threefold for the game, and I think it served more as a protection for the players and officials as the game ended. We have some of that action right now. The Bloomington police said no arrests were made. However, several people were injured, and Ahmad, it was quite a scene on the field.
Gosh, it looks like it.
Just trying to get off here, of course. First was a chore.
Well, I think that was exciting. You know, I think all the people were really up for it the entire week. That's all you read about is what was going to happen at the Met when the game was all over. I can remember coming out of the locker room, people were walking out carrying seats, carrying signs.
Look at this guy. I'm taking that seat home with me.
They're probably going to put it right in the garage.
I've always tried to figure out what someone does with a goalpost, how they get in their car or on their car and get it home.
I have no idea.
The speaker systems went. Everything that was nailed down wasn't nailed down. Ended up going back home as the fans took home their favorite bench, their favorite seat that some of them had been sitting on. There goes the scoreboard, the Chicago.
That last guy had the last guy had his favorite stick of wood. I mean, there was nothing to it. It was just a broken piece of the bench.
Nothing was sacred at the Met. This man's sitting on top of that scoreboard. I think it's going to take him a while to get through that.
I think that guy's still there at the Met, trying to get a piece of that, the goalpost down.
I think a few of these people are going to be feeling a little bit more pain tomorrow morning when they wake up.
Well, they had a good time.
And I think that's what's important. Everyone has their favorite memories of Met Stadium. What do the players feel about leaving the Met? What do you feel about it?
There's a lot of memories there. I'd have to say that the best games of my entire career were played right there at the Met. And when I think back, I got a chance to see Francis Tarkenton today, and that brings back all the memories. It was just a thrill for me to ever come here to this team and play on a great Super Bowl team that I played on my first year here with all the household names that we had. And all those memories will be left at the Met, and next year we start anew.
Is there a big adjustment for the team going into the Dome from a standpoint of the way the plays will be?
In just a moment, we'll be back, and we'll talk about that final game that was played at the Met, the last football game there forever, and some other things when the Bud Grant Show continues.
To see the game, and there was a lot of, over the years, the fans have been really good. There's been a lot of involvement.
I think in 1962, there was a halfback named Hugh McElhenney, one of the great runners of all time. And he executed a 32-yard run, which is not the greatest and not the most memorable in professional football history. But he dodged 9 guys. I think he's a Hall of Famer. And his insurance agent, Matt Hazeltine, of the 49ers, missed him 3 times on one play, tackled him in the end zone. And I think it was the greatest exhibition of 1 against 11 that I've ever seen.
The Met isn't so old when you stand on the field and look up and see the fans and the banners and the cheers and everything right down to the last 20 seconds here. So that doesn't look any different. It's the memories that most of us have who played here and worked here was when the stands were empty. We had to practice here, and those were the bad memories. The good memories, of course, are the fans and the games that we've won and the games that we've played. And our fans have been very good because it's not been a good stadium. Our support here has been tremendous.
This is Tom Ryder reporting. News Center 11 Sports from Metropolitan Stadium for the last time.
And we haven't seen him since. Matt, we see the pass to Joe Sensor fall incomplete on the last play of the game today. Actually, you can go back over a season and pick out a play or 3 in each game and really decide the game right then and there. So for everyone that falls incomplete like today, you may have been one during the season that meant a win.
Well, as we look back, we've won some games by 2 or 3 points and maybe less than 4. And then we've lost some games the same way. And in a game of football, and to be a winner, you can't balance out win 3 and by 2 and 3 and win.
It was the final football game at the Met, and we have a little bit of videotape here about something that you will never see again when it comes to Viking football. And I know that a lot of fans are going to miss it, and I'm sure you're going to miss it, Coach.
Yes, it's going to be difficult and different to look up into the dome from now on, and there are going to be a lot of memories, and a lot of people can remember our stadium and some of this kind of football. Here you see Osborne
wearing the glass. Stadium officials said it will take them several days to do a complete inventory on what was actually damaged, destroyed, or stolen. 9 fans were arrested on minor charges, and surprisingly, there was only 1 minor injury.
So December 20th, 1981 was the day the Vikings lost their final game at the Met. But it was also a day that several thousand psyched-up fans whittled away at the very heart and soul of Metropolitan Stadium. Tony Vigneri, Channel 5 Eyewitness News.
We never expected that the security force could cope with that kind of an attack. What we wanted to do was protect people and protect lives if we could. This was no different than a rock concert or some other major event, and our interest was not protecting property.
Were you somewhat disappointed with the actions of the fans?
Both disappointed and embarrassed. I think this whole region ought to be embarrassed because I assume that went out over national television, and something like the beaning of the official with a whiskey bottle a few years ago, this brings, I think, some shame and embarrassment upon the whole area.
Well, for Viking fans, there's always next year, but for the time being, they'll have to settle for living in the past as we return now to the golden days of yesteryear on this week's installment of Vikes Sings.
Vikings play the Chiefs, the last game at the Met. So many great years, tell me who could forget?
The Purple People Eaters on the attack. Marshall, Iller, Page, and Larson moving for a sack.
It's over for the Met, but you know we won't forget.
Then Bobby Bryant is there to intercept. I can still see Paul Krause moving in to make a hit.
It's over for the Met, but we won't forget. Joe, Fran, Dave, Chuck, and Bill, and all at the Met that gave so many thrills.
But it's the Chiefs who are in Bloomington to play. Ironically, no tension on this cold December day. The Chiefs are called for roughing. We kick a field goal. Then Tony Galbraith fumbles and Lowry over the pole.
The score is 3-3. The half is history. Later, James Murphy scurries with a punt. 43 yards gained on the run. Then Steve Fuller from 15 yards away hits Stan Rome on a touchdown play.
We trail 10-6 with a chance for one more drive. Kramer hits Joe Sensor, our hopes are still alive. Then Tony Galbraith takes it to the KC6, but a fourth down pass to Sensor just doesn't click.
10-6 is the final score. The Vikings move next year to the Dome. The fans try to take the Met home. Until next year,
we wish you all one holiday cheer.
Well, this year's holiday cheer is more like bah humbug, but on the other end of the spectrum, they are cheering hip hip hooray for Tampa Bay as the Buccaneers home.
65, and even played a major role in 3 NFL championship games. But now it's retirement time. I join millions of fans in saying, so long, old friend, and thanks for the memories.
Channel 5, KUSTP TV, St. Paul, Minneapolis.
Ahmad Rashad. Prior to this season, last 5 years, you caught more footballs than any receiver in the National Football League, and this year you had 58. You also know the Green Bay Packers. And I know they didn't get their passing game going against the Jets because Dick...
A definite home field advantage over the years, having teams like Miami or teams coming from warm weather climates into our climate, it definitely affected them psychologically. Now that we're going inside, the positive part of that is we're such a passing team, we don't have to worry about the wind, we don't have to worry about the cold weather. So as far as receiving goes, it'll be easier to catch balls, but we're going to miss that home field advantage that we had at the Met.
You won't have to worry about having the blowers on the sideline when you're indoors. Well, regardless of what happened, the last game at Met Stadium belonged to the Kansas City Chiefs.
Next year, when the Minnesota Vikings move into the spacious Hubert H. Humphrey Metrodome, Mother Nature will cease to be a factor in Viking football games. The hardy Minnesotans who have jammed tiny Metropolitan Stadium for 20 years have been treated to 11 division titles and 3 conference championships. Most coming when the snows had settled in and the temperatures were unbearable. But last Sunday, though the scene looked familiar, there was nothing at stake as the Vikings met the Kansas City Chiefs. With both teams out of the playoff picture, the only significance was that it was the last game ever played in frozen Metropolitan Stadium. Determined Chiefs like number 82 James Murphy helped Kansas City end a 3-game losing streak. And the passing of Steve Fuller, number 4, earned Kansas City their first winning season since 1973. "20 years ago, the Vikings won the first game they ever played in the Met. Last Sunday, they lost their last game there by the score of 10-6. However, all of the great games in between are what the frozen faithful will remember. And these fond memories, along with some salvaged souvenirs, will remind them of a glorious era that will linger long after Metropolitan Stadium becomes a shopping center.